Hello, my name is Steve Sasse. I'm the VP for Latin America at datacenterHawk. We invited a very special guest with us here at PTC here in Hawaii. You know, there's worse places to be this time of year. So we're here in Hawaii at the end of PTC 2026, and I invited my old friend Eduardo Carvalho, the Managing Director for Latin America at Equinix.
Yeah.
Welcome, Eduardo, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Eduardo and I go way back, maybe 13 years, 14 years.
Yes.
I've known him since he was in the joint venture in Latin America with Equinix at the A-Log, right?
Yes,
Equinix
he was one of the founder.
Correct. And so I want him to introduce himself and just give us a little brief overview of your career and how you ended up being the managing director at Equinix in Latin America.
Sure. First, it's a pleasure to have you here, interview me. You know that we have a long history together as well. I've been in this industry since 2000. I think I must be the executive with the longest time in this.
I beat you by a year. I started in 1999.
999, yeah, that's true. And we were acquired in 2011 for Equinix, the first part of the acquisition. The second part of the acquisition was in 2014. Yeah. And I became Managing Director for Brazil in 2013 until 2023, and then Managing Director for LATAM.
So, being Managing Director for LATAM, you obviously get to participate in the decisions that are made for the region. Equinix has grown a lot in the region. Obviously, we started with Brazil, or you started with Brazil, then you grow into, with the Verizon acquisitions, you grow into Colombia, then you expanded into Mexico with the Axtel acquisition, and then eventually into Chile with the Entel Chile acquisitions, right?
Sure.
So you're in many countries right now. I don't know the exact number of facilities you have in the region, but you have a lot.
We have a lot. Sure.
But Brazil continues to be your core market, right?
Yeah, it is a core market.
So can you just briefly talk about, how do you see the Brazil market now, right? And you're today in Sao Paulo and in Rio. And I think the last time we spoke, you said you were not really looking to expand to any of the markets in Brazil. So I'm assuming that continues to be the same. But how do you see the Brazilian market today?
I think we have like a strong market in Brazil. We have a lot of possibilities there. We were going to have Redata. Maybe it's going to be approved in February. This is a game changer for us. Because it's a tax incentive for GPUs and hardware in general. This is going to change. But let's going back to 2025, for example. We were selling in 2025 spot with 256 kbps and one server.
Yes.
In 2015, we started selling big deployments for CSPs. Now we are talking about 100 megawatts and 200 megawatts, and there are a lot of new players entering our market. I would say that we have like 3 verticals now in the data center market. We have like hyperscale, as you know, and we have a lot of players. We have edge computing data centers that they are going to be outside the metro, maybe in Belo Horizonte, in other states. And we have retail where we are. I would say I'm very enthusiastic about our market ecosystems, side by side, and we are creating new verticals inside our data centers. That's why I would say the future is going to be hybrid, because in Latin America in general, globally as well. But we are going to have these 3 verticals in our market, and I think LATAM, and especially Brazil with Redata, is going to grow a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned Redata, which is something that I want to ask you a little bit more about. I agree that Redata is every Brazilian data center provider that I spoke to here at PTC said they're waiting for that. February 25th is the deadline, right? I spoke with the president of the Brazilian Association, Data Center Association. He said the same with Renan. There's still not, I don't know if anybody's 100% sure it's going to pass by February 25th. Everybody's hoping, you know.
Yes, I hope.
Because if it doesn't pass, then it's another 6 months worth of work, right? It will delay a lot of investments in Brazil.
Yeah.
Are you still confident it will pass?
I'm confident, but if it doesn't happen, it's not going to hit us.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. We have a different market. We are not waiting for big deployment. We have our ecosystem. We are selling interconnection. We are creating other products to sell to our customer. Mm-hmm. Considering our customer in Brazil, for example, we have more than 1,000 customers in our data centers there. What we are doing, as you know, we have many services. Mm-hmm. We are creating more products to sell to our base customers. Different of these other players that they are going to work with CSPs and AI company. We are going to work as well, but we are not going to depend on this law, renewable. We can work with our current customers, and we can explore this a little bit more with many services.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, this Redata is going to be mostly what's going to impact is the importation of GPUs, right?
That's it.
I mean, obviously some other data center equipment as well, but I think many of the hyperscalers are waiting for this to pass because what I've been told, it will reduce the importation tariffs from about 54% to 2%, right?
Yes.
Which would be great because I think the Brazilian government, the association, the data center, everybody's done a great job to clear hurdles and make Brazil, the number one data center market in the region. But this is, I think, the last step in that hurdle, right?
Yes, it's true.
And I think it will open. The market is going to expand. I wouldn't be surprised if the Brazilian market doubles or triples this year if that happens.
It's going to be
because I think there's going to be
5 years.
A lot of investment.
We are going to invest more in the next 5 years than we invest in the last 27 years.
In Brazil?
No, in Equinix in general.
Okay.
In Brazil as well, of course.
Yeah.
Because Brazil is growing a lot, especially Brazil. Of course that we have Chile, Peru, Colombia, and Mexico. But right now, Brazil is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have renewable energy, you have the connectivity, you have, it's expanding. I mean,
we have lands.
You have land. So I think Brazil is set up to succeed. Now, hopefully yes. this happens and the Brazilian government is able to push this through before February 20th.
For sure.
Now, let's talk about another market in the region. Your favorite, I'm sure it's your favorite topic, Mexico.
Mexico, sure. Let's talk.
I mean, Mexico is underserved. I think Mexico has a lot of potential. Recently, while I was at this conference, a little bit before I came to this conference, I found that Mexico just got its first NeoCloud deployment.
Yes, so nearshoring, etc.
Yeah, the nearshoring and also the NeoCloud. There's a NeoCloud that just took some capacity in Querétaro.
Yeah.
You are today in Querétaro, and you just launched the second facility in Monterrey.
It's true.
So what can you tell us a little bit more about the Mexican market and Equinix in Mexico and potential growth in that market?
We are not going to stop investing in Mexico, but first, we need to solve our situation in Querétaro. We have a lot of demand. We have global customers there, and we need to find the solution very soon. We are working with some power alternatives to solve this situation in 2026. I hope in 3 weeks we are going to have news about that, because as you know, Querétaro is a place where we have in some regions of Querétaro, we have problem with power, transmission line, etc. With that said, I'd say Mexico has a very high potential, as Brazil had a few years ago. With that, with this perspective, we are going to solve this situation first in Querétaro, and then we are going to expand. As you know, we have the third facility there, MX3, ready, and we have power constraint as well.
Yeah.
We are solving as well. We are working with the parking in the industrial park there, Best Park, to solve this situation this year as well. And there we have other players together with us that we are working together to solve this situation. In Monterrey, the situation is okay. We are going maybe to start very soon the second phase. We have power, we have space, and we have a big potential because, as you know, Monterrey is very close to Dallas, and these are creating a very traction with our ecosystem in Dallas as well.
No, I am very bullish on Monterrey. I think Monterrey is a market that's going to grow very quickly. I know you guys have capacity there. You're the only ones right now at the moment that have capacity there. But I do believe that there's some hyperscale opportunities in that market, and because, like you mentioned, it's close to the U.S. border, and there's very cheap power there because you can tap into the same gas that is used in Western Texas right now for all that construction for the data centers. That same gas gets to Monterrey, so you're able to, from what I've been told, you're able to get 6 cents a kilowatt hour versus Querétaro, which is almost 11, 12, 13 cents. So
yes,
the power is almost half as much in Monterrey.
And this market, the XK is going to grow a lot.
Yes,
it's going to grow a lot.
I think it's going to grow a lot.
We are analyzing this situation, but first we are going to work with retail, and we are trying to improve our ecosystem. We are evangelizing the marketing to understand how important is our ecosystem to the digital economy there as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ecosystems are key, even for the big, and for example, in Sao Paulo, where you are there, you are the main SP4, right? It's the main interconnection.
The most interconnected.
I was told it's the most interconnected location in all of Latin America.
Yes, it is.
But you're next to some very large facilities, right, for your competitor, but everybody's tapping into your site for connectivity.
For sure. They are my competitor, but they buy interconnection.
Well, they need the connectivity. Yeah.
They don't have choice.
Yeah. Well, so you manage Latin America for Equinix. There's somebody else that like you for Europe, for the U.S., North America, I'm assuming, and for Asia. Some of the numbers for some of these markets that are coming out are incredible, right? So and some of these markets are much bigger. For example, today the U.S. has 63% of the global capacity.
Yes.
EMEA has 18%. Asia Pac has 16%. LATAM has only 2.2% of the global capacity. How do you think Latin America catches up? I mean, I'm not saying they're going to catch up to the US, but how do you think, is there a way for Latin America to, in the next 5 years, come closer to the infrastructure that's being done and built in Europe and in Asia Pac?
I think there are a lot of opportunities here in LATAM. That's why I would say that we are going to grow a lot in the next years. But we have some issues. Maybe they have there as well, like regulatory bureaucracy. We have like the speed of the power utility comes to deliver power as well is very, it is sometimes is bad for the market. But at the same time, I would say is the region that in percentage, we are going to grow more than others, because here is where, for example, in Brazil, we have the best power compared to other countries. Sustainability, we have space, we don't have hurricane, we don't have any other event in Brazil as we have in other countries. And we need to explore this a little bit more. And we are talking a lot with the government, not just here. We are talking Chile, we are talking Peru, we are talking Colombia, and we are talking Mexico, because they need to understand the opportunities that we have for the digital economy. And they need to create room for us to explore this a little bit more and facilitate our lives here to implement this as soon as possible.
I would think in many countries around the world, data centers are become critical infrastructure, right?
Yes.
And governments realize the need for attracting data centers because they understand how important they are.
Yes.
It seems like in Latin America, some countries see that and some others don't. So I think it's key to that these governments realize that you need data centers because it's the future, right?
It's the future of the economy.
Yeah. I mean,
Nobody creates a company without anything digital.
I heard a stat here.
Digital.
I heard a stat here at PTC. I haven't confirmed it, but this blew me away. They said that the U.S. GDP grew, let's say, 4.5% in 2025. That if it wasn't for data center investment in the U.S., the GDP in the U.S. would have grown 1.5.
That's it.
3% difference.
And based on AI companies as well.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's astronomical. So I would think that these governments will realize how much money these deployments can bring to their economies and can grow their.
That's why I said they need to create some benefits for us.
Yes. I agree. It's incentives and benefits. That's why this red data thing it's taking so long to pass.
Yes.
It's just I don't understand that. I don't understand.
And we need investment in our transmission line as well, in Mexico, in Colombia, in Peru, in Chile, and in Brazil as well.
So one question that I wanted to get your opinion on. So obviously you have Equinix, which you focus more on the retail, and you have the xScale that focuses more on the hyperscale, right?
Yeah.
And in some locations, you're doing both retail and hyperscale. So what we're hearing from some providers, because as you know, many providers where retail now are focusing more on hyperscale, especially in Brazil, many of them have not left, but they're not focusing their money there. But from what we've heard is a lot of times companies will maybe allocate some power to hyperscale. So let's, for example, you'll have a 100 megawatt site, and you allocate 75 megawatts for hyperscale and 25 for retail. But what ends up happening is you have these hyperscales that approach you and said, we want all of that power for hyperscale.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that at Equinix?
Our focus on using large footprint deals.
Uh-huh.
It's like 5 megawatts, 2 megawatts. And these deals needs to create interconnection for us.
Okay.
In our operation here, there in LATAM, we just have one facility for as you know, for hyperscale is SP5, where we have Google. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that. Our intention right now is to create more traction for our ecosystem, mm-hmm. and especially me, I do like retail. I like xScale as well, but I do prefer. When I say xScale, because in Equinix we say xScale, but hyperscale.
Yes.
But in a short, we are analyzing some possibilities in other states as well about xScale, about hyperscale, but we are continuing to do and to invest money to have deals as Akamai and other players, carriers that generate traffic for us.
Yeah, it's important because
this is our secret.
Yeah, well, you've been building those ecosystems for a long time, and it takes a long time to. I would say it takes close to 10 years to build a good ecosystem.
Yes, and another thing that I would like to tell you again, we are creating some products for our customers.
Yeah,
and this is. Very soon is going to create a lot of noise in the market and is going to create a lot of traction as well.
Okay, good. Okay. Looking forward to hearing that.
Yes.
Just very quickly touch on Colombia. I mean, from what I've heard, Colombia has been probably different for you because you're more retail, but the market's been somewhat, didn't stop, but very slow this 2025.
Yeah.
Do you believe that now that there's going to be elections in May, do you think that if the elections come, well, the elections will happen, but if there's a change in the administration, that this will attract more investment into Colombia?
I think so. We are investing there. We just finished the second phase in Beijing 2. We bought the third land, the fourth land in the same...
In the Zona Franca.
Zona Franca as well. And we are going to continue to invest in Colombia. What I am thinking about is, right now we close with Bogota Stock Exchange, for example. We need to explore a little bit more the ecosystems there. And we need to invest in marketing to explore a little bit more and evangelize the market to understand how important Equinix is for the global economy. because it's not just Colombia. When we talk about Colombia, we talk about many other countries around Colombia that we can explore with Colombia.
By the way, fun fact here, I was the first Equinix person to meet with the Colombia Stock Exchange presenting Equinix. So
Good.
that was the start of that sale.
Yes, good.
I hope I get my commission on that. All right, so I think Colombia will come around, but in Brazil you have two markets. In Mexico you have two markets. Usually when you go into a market, you expand to a second market. Will you do that in Colombia, or will you just stay in Bogota market?
Just in Bogota for a while.
Okay.
I need to explore a little bit more. I know that Medellin is a very good market. I would love to be there, but for a while, just in Bogota.
Okay.
Okay.
And Chile, Santiago. Tell us a little bit what's going on in Santiago.
Santiago, we finished our expansion in ST2. We have like 400 racks available. We have 2 megawatts available. We just approved ST5 as well, and it's going to be ready in 2028 or 2029. We are investing there. We need to explore a little bit more the financial market.
Yeah.
I think 80% of the banks that we have in Santiago, in Chile, they are with us. And we need to explore a little bit more these issues. It's a fantastic country, very stable, and
ST5 will be close to the other sites where it was.
Yeah, not far.
Okay.
Not far.
So you will interconnect the sites, like,
For sure, we are going to interconnect.
Okay, so if for our listeners here that maybe they're interested in the Latin American market, and how would you present? If I'm an AI company and I'm considering America. Well, how would you present? How would you sell Latin? Why would an AI company put a large deployment in Brazil, or let's just say Brazil? Why would I go to Brazil? What are the benefits of Brazil versus doing something in the U.S.?
Redata. You are going to have a tax benefit in Brazil.
Okay.
And I think you are going to have one of the best power around the world. If you talk about sustainability,
yes,
you are on the right place. You have space, you don't have hurricane, the economy is stable, the political situation as well. I think we don't have any big issues there, as we don't have in other countries as well. We are not talking about Venezuela, but you don't have this problem today in Mexico, in Colombia, Chile, Peru, and in Brazil. And I hope to be very soon in Argentina. Why not?
I hope you're in Argentina very soon.
I do love Argentina.
Yes. Malbec and steak, right?
Yeah, steak. Steak is the best.
Yeah, I think Argentina has a lot of potential.
The people as well.
Well, of course. But I think Argentina has a lot of potential, especially with the price of power.
Yeah.
Also, there's the renewable story is better in Brazil and Argentina, but there's a lot of possibilities in
there are a lot of possibilities.
So I'm looking forward to that market opening up, and I think Milei and his administration are going to get involved, and I think they are going to incentivize data center investments.
I do believe that maybe in the next years we are going to
finally, we
need to go. It's the second economy in South America.
Yes. So, just to finalize here, where do you see the Latin American digital infrastructure? I mean, you've covered the region for a long time. We've seen some growth, but we haven't seen the growth that we've seen in the U.S. Where do you see Latin American digital infrastructure in 5 and 10 years?
I think the future is going to be hybrid. Mm-hmm. We are going to have xScale, hyperscale. We are going to have the edge data centers in small states and outside the big metros as Bogota, Querétaro, Monterrey, Santiago, and São Paulo and Rio. We are going to expand to other cities, São Paulo countryside, Minas Gerais and Belo Horizonte with edge data centers. Hyperscale, especially in Brazil, is going to grow a lot, I think. But the difference for me is going to be retail. Create ecosystem, because without our ecosystem, nobody is going to grow in hyperscale and in edge data center. And for me, the future, we need to create buzz and and we create benefits for our industry. The government needs to know how important we are as an industry. I am not talking about just Equinix. I am talking about the data center industry, how we are important for the economy, what we can create for the market, and they need to understand what we are doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, in a sense, the data center industry needs more marketing, right?
That's it.
Because people don't realize what happens inside a data center.
People doesn't know what I am doing. For example, my mother,
Yeah, no, my mother.
never understand.
The funny thing is some people complain there's a data center being built maybe close to where they live, but then the first thing they do is they go on Facebook or they go
And Instagram, they don't know where they are.
They don't realize what the tool they're using is in a data center.
Yes.
So I do believe that more marketing would help. Obviously, community relations would help.
Yes, for sure. Sustainability.
We need also to train more people.
More people.
Because there's a shortage of
educate how to use internet well.
Yes, yeah. So no, I think there should be the associations, and I'm sure they are. I'm not saying they're not.
Going to have the association is going to help you.
Yeah, they need to spend some money in marketing.
Yes,
government relations and marketing. But well, it's been great. It's been great seeing you, catching up with you. I'm sorry we didn't get to go for a run this trip.
Okay.
The next one,
we will.
We'll go for a run, and hopefully
finally we talk.
You will continue to have the great, tremendous success you guys have had in Latin America.
It's a pleasure. You know how I like you, and I'm suspect to say and think about you. But
thank you very much for being with us today.